Hi, I'm Emma Moss. I had a cervical ectopic pregnancy in 2016 and it completely changed my life. So I found out I was pregnant, and at 5 weeks I was told by my GP that I'd had a miscarriage. Actually 9 weeks on I found out I was still pregnant, and I went to the hospital for some scans, and it turned out that I had a cervical ectopic pregnancy, which is super rare. From then they started with a course of treatment, and that course of treatment was to effectively give the baby a lethal injection, and then that actually resulted in the fetus giving me septicemia and E. coli, which then turned into sepsis. And then found out that I was bleeding internally, and so to save my life the professor actually had to give me a hysterectomy. At that time it had been such a shock that it was actually a cervical ectopic pregnancy, and so the course of treatment that the professors were telling me that I had to go through, it kind of was like just what had to be done. So me and my partner Simon knew that at this point that it wasn't going to be a viable pregnancy, and I suppose the hardest thing to come to terms with was the fact that for me to survive, the baby would have to die, and that would have to be done by lethal injection. To me it was I suppose quite an emotional time for me. The decision to go for that hysterectomy had been completely taken out of my hands, because I was being told that if I didn't have it, I wasn't going to survive. And that for me, in a way, was a good thing, because it took the emotion out of it and took the decision-making process out of mine and Simon's hands. So I didn't ever feel that there was a point of giving up. I think through everything, and even through being rushed into intensive care with sepsis, I never actually felt at any point that it was the end, until I lost 2.5 litres of blood instantly because I was bleeding internally. With the whole process, every stage was a bit of a shock. But I think when we discovered that the placenta was growing in the wall of the cervix, and with every other cervical ectopic pregnancy this has never happened, my family have always run their own businesses, and I really had a moment to think about, am I completely happy with where I am right now? This is the point that if I'm not, I need to change it. I'm very lucky to be here, and going forward, do I want to go back into what I was doing previously? And the answer was no, I didn't want to, and yes, I wanted to change my life. And I just put all of my energy into building that business up. And to be perfectly honest, when I first started, I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this and just get a bit of money in and just see how it goes. But like, against all odds, I suppose, again, the business just massively took off, and has allowed me to be where I am today. So me and Simon were together for just 7 months when I found out I was pregnant. So it really was out of the blue, and it was a shock. And from the very moment he found out, he was so supportive. He said, you know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and just let's go for it. And then obviously everything happened, and through all that he pretty much sat by my bedside every single day for 9 hours a day, or until the nurses pretty much turfed him out. And he was such a support for my family and for me through the whole process. Even when I had you know, a bad day of feeling quite about everything, he was always there to pick me up. They actually let me outside in a wheelchair for the first time for some fresh air, and I hadn't been outside for about 3 weeks. And he wheeled me outside in a wheelchair, and I was in my pyjamas, and when we got outside he popped the question and proposed, and at the time I was like, are you kidding me? I'm actually like sat here in my pyjamas, I look terrible, and you're proposing? But obviously I said yes, and then that's we got married, and we're still going strong. So what I would say is that make sure you're getting the best care that you possibly can. Go and get a second opinion if you don't feel that something's right, like I didn't at the first 5 week stage. And at the end of the day, you know, trust your gut as if it were, and just try and think positively. You know, cervical ectopic pregnancy is a very stressful situation to be in, or an ectopic pregnancy, and just try and remain positive, believe that you can get through it, you can survive any situation, keep fighting, and if this pregnancy isn't right, maybe there will be another one in the future that is right and is meant to happen. And obviously for me, I'm now considering surrogacy because I got to keep my ovaries. And so there are other ways, you know, there's adoption and there's surrogacy, and there are other ways. At the end of the day, your life is the most important thing.